Mark Santiago here, and welcome to the Empowered AF podcast, where each episode we share powerful strategies to help you communicate, act, and lead like an empowered man. Thanks for joining me. All right, guys, welcome to the Empowered AF podcast. Today's episode, I've got a special guest with me, and I'm going to introduce him in a second. But the reason I have this guest on is because something I noticed in my own life as I went through divorce and separation was that my health really went to shit. And for me personally, I experienced this on multiple fronts. The first time I went through this, I lost like 40 pounds. The second time I went through this, I gained 40 pounds. And it's something that every man deals with, and really in all facets of our life, right? Like we are the fast food generation. We are the guys who were raised on chicken nuggets and Big Macs. And our generation is unhealthy as fuck. It is just really unhealthy. So I was in the group and got connected with one of our guys that's in our free Facebook group named Thomas Miller. And I've got Thomas with me today. Thomas, thank you so much for joining me.
Man, thank you for allowing me to talk with you today, man. It's an honor for real. So yeah. Appreciate you, brother.
Well, what's cool is, and Thomas was kind of freaked out that I reached out to him, but I was like, man, I'm seeing this guy in the group and he's commenting, he's liking, he's doing things, but like, I didn't know his story. And so I looked at his site and I was like, man, this guy like helps other dudes, helps other dads, helps other leaders get their nutrition and their fitness right. And I'm like, that's an awesome, powerful concept. Tell me more about that. Like, what do you actually do with guys?
So really, I work with dads, work with leaders, work with guys in like leadership roles. And my job, what I aim to do is to take them from being at a point where they're frustrated about what's going on as far as their health, and using that as like a jumping point to affect every area of their life. So A lot of guys, in leadership roles, they're killing it, at work, killing it with the finances maybe, but with their health, they're letting that, they're putting that priority to the back burner.
Yeah.
I help guys deal with the chaos that happens in life, and instead of letting that beat them down, they can use that as a tool, leaning into that, that's obstacles as a tool to get where they want to go with their health and fitness, and let that branch off to other areas. So
that's awesome.
That makes sense.
Totally. It totally makes sense. We were talking about this prior to our call. I remember going through when I first found out my ex-wife was cheating on me, where she just basically said, I don't want to be married to you anymore, and all of that. And it caused so much inner turmoil. I had never been at this place before, but it caused so much inner turmoil where I literally couldn't eat. And like, I was living on maybe less than 1,000 calories a day. And I lost like 30, 40 pounds within a matter of weeks.
Wow.
And I hear stories all the time, right? There's guys in our Facebook group. There's guys that listen to our podcast right now. There's guys that are even in our VIP group who struggle with this idea because they get so worked up. There's so much anxiety. There's so much going on that they're just not eating. And I mean, like, Thomas, like, is it healthy to just not eat?
Is it healthy just not eat?
I mean, like, is that healthy? Like, is that a good weight loss strategy to just not eat?
Definitely not a good weight loss strategy, but I definitely see it all the time with a lot of the guys I coach. And a lot of guys I coach are going through divorce or having trouble in their marriage. And that's one of the things I see a lot. In fact, one of the guys I coached, he was losing like maybe 2 to 3 pounds a week, or maybe even less here and there. And all of a sudden he took off with his weight loss. And, we were excited about it, but as we started to talk about what was really going on, like he had went on a trip to Las Vegas with his wife, and he kind of got into it with his wife's family, and that really like started to split between them two. I mean, I'm sure it happened before that, but that's right. Kind of like they decided to make a decision to split up. And that's kind of where his weight loss was coming from, because he just wasn't eating. And I'm like, man, we trying to maintain the muscle that you have. We trying to do this in a healthy way, and this is not the way to go about it. Yeah. So like, definitely not eating is not the solution.
And then the flip side to that is, I remember as I ended up going through divorce years later, because, I had multiple instances of cheating and all this stuff, but years later, then me choosing divorce caused all kinds of stress and anxiety on me, to where I now gained about 40 or 50 pounds within a period of months. And so that can't be healthy either, can it?
No, definitely not at all. But I mean, it's an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, when you a father, you're a husband, and your marriage is, is you breaking up. You're ending this thing, this thing you put together is dying. You kind of feel like you failed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's easy just to let other things go. And a lot of times, like the first thing is like your health, your own self, just taking care of you.
Yeah.
And putting on 40 pounds in a period of a couple months is definitely doable for
Yeah.
sure. We've seen a lot that happened a lot this year with just everything that's going on. So
With the
that's not
pandemic and
healthy
stuff.
either.
Yeah. And like for me, it really came back to that food became that comfort, right? And it's kind of interesting how I've been able to do both sides of it, right? Where like in some aspects I couldn't eat, and then in the other aspects all I could do was eat. And like, finding the comfort in fast food or Debbie cakes or whatever chocolate thing I could get my hands on to like help me feel something deep inside. And that kind of leads me to the sort of other problem I see is that for me in that case, I felt totally defeated. Like, going from being one weight to a whole like 40 pounds, like that's a transformation, right? Whether you gain 40 pounds or you lose 40 pounds, that's a whole different clothing wardrobe thing. Clothes aren't fitting anymore. You're looking in the mirror going, who am I? Who is this guy who's gotten so fat? And I felt so defeated. I felt absolutely like, okay, well, I guess this is my lot in life. And apparently I can't defeat this demon. So not only did my marriage fail, but I'm also failing at my health. And then I started feeling it like you put on that kind of weight and you feel heavy. You feel like you can't even walk up the stairs. You don't even feel like yourself putting on clothes. Like, I could barely bend over to put on clothes. And like all these things were happening because I had allowed myself to feel defeated. Can you talk about that with guys that you see and guys you've worked with?
Yeah, definitely. Feeling of defeat is what I see a lot. And a lot of the guys I coach. But real quick, before I even get to that, how you brought up the part about like the emotion that you felt when you went through the divorce the second time or the second separation, when you put on that weight. A lot of guys don't even realize, like, when we talk about like emotional eating,
Hmm.
you want to say it's like a woman thing. But a lot of guys, more than you would think, they deal with that, you
Yeah.
know. And it's usually not the same thing where I'm not sitting on my couch eating bonbons and crying. That's not what guys do.
Right.
But it could be, okay, I'm going out and going through some drinks, after work, going through beers, eating whatever is at the bar, stuff like that. It happens all the time. But when you talk about defeat, feeling defeated, uh, that's what guys come in. The majority of them feel defeated, and the reason that they feel defeated is they, once they get to this point past a divorce or whatever happened in their life, after they put on this weight, they know they want to make a change. You know, they look at themselves in the mirror and they say, this is not who I want to be. They know they want to make a change, and it's the idea of trying to what it the idea of what it takes to get to where they want to go. Either it seems like it's too difficult, or they feel like they don't have the discipline. When guys finally get that, that motivation to make a change and they set a target, for some reason they don't follow through
Yeah.
and they feel defeated. And each
Yeah.
time after that, they don't follow through, they feel more and more defeated.
Yeah, because it like it's almost like defeat begets defeat, where it's like, okay, I failed at this, and so I keep failing at it, and every time I fail at it, like, and you just start to become that identity, and you know, health, weight loss, whatever, like anything you have from a goal perspective, I think it's more about an identity, than anything. And I can have an identity as an athlete an athlete's body, or I can have the identity of a guy who's like 100 pounds overweight, and this is his lot in life, and this is the way it's always going to be. And so therefore you eat to that identity, right? Like you exercise to that identity of what you have, and you're either becoming one or the other. Like there is no in between generally. Now, some guys kind of probably get sedentary and they just kind of stay in the same, 250 or whatever their weight is. Most men probably stay in that, but there's others of us who just balloon up or lose a lot of weight at the same, really fast. So, losing weight fast, gaining weight fast, feeling defeated, lack of motivation, those are all sort of problems. And I would venture to say that most guys, that's what they focus on, is like, okay, I need to get on a better diet, or I need to stop losing weight so much. I need to eat more. I need to, right. And like, they're always trying to fix the sort of symptoms, if you will. But what do you think is the actual real problem that these guys are dealing with?
So yeah, like you said, like, losing weight too fast, uh, putting on weight, and then trying to make a change and feeling defeated, just with the situation, and feeling defeated with their attempts that failed,
Yeah.
you know. And they start to think that the problem is like, okay, I don't have the discipline, or, it's too difficult. Because, like you said, each time that confidence is taking a hit, or I don't have the motivation to do it. And that's not the real problem.
Yeah.
The real problem is that when guys see a problem, they want to fix it, and they want to take massive action on it. And that's perfect. That's how we're wired. There's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of times we try to do it too much too soon. Try to
Mm.
go from 0 to 100, right from the go, right from the gate. And what that does is, you set this lofty goal, you set this huge target to hit. I want to go from, sitting on the couch to working out 5 days a week for an hour, and running on the weekends, and completely changing my diet. When you set that high goal and you don't hit it, like I said, your confidence takes a hit.
Yeah.
That's the real problem. What they should do instead is, you know, what we already know, we all have heard it before, is you want to start slow. You want to start slow and get some momentum. But like I said, the real problem is doing too much too soon.
Yeah. It makes total sense. Here's something else I've noticed in my life, and maybe you've seen this with guys you work with too, is that there's a certain amount of pressure that's causing this desire to change, right? So your wife comes to you, says, I want a divorce. And so you're like, I'm going to go to the gym. And that's what you were talking about, right? I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to work out. I'm going to do these things. And I think this is where the dichotomy is between the two, right? So you've got the guy who's like, well, shit, I need to go work out. I'm going to go. So I'm going to go 5 days a week. I'm running. I'm not eating anything. I'm not putting anything in my body. I'm unhealthy in as many ways possible as I can be, except I'm going to the gym. So I feel like I'm doing something, because we have all this energy and extra anxiety that we're trying to get out. And so then when you're trying to save the marriage, right? A lot of times they're trying to save the marriage. So like, if I lose weight, then this happens, whatever. Then what I found was that once they stop trying to like save the marriage, now it turns into a totally different focus, because the pressure has changed. So the pressure went from, I got to lose weight so I can look good and so she'll come back to me, to, I don't give a fuck anymore, and I'm just going to do whatever the hell I want to do. And if that means going out and, eating at the bar and Big Macs and doing all these things, then I'm just going to do that. So it's almost like there's this chasm, if you will, of guys that are going way too fast on one side. And then once the pressure is gone, where it's over and she's filed for divorce and nothing you can do, now you start getting depressed, you're hungry, and now you go the opposite direction. Have you seen that before?
Yeah, and definitely, like you mentioned, like the pressure. I mean, that's a big deal because it's external. It's coming from, outside, and you can't control that. It's like I'm using this pressure of the divorce, trying to make this work by doing this. That's not long lasting. Like you said, that pressure goes away. You need that to come internally. Like, okay, me being like a better dude. I just want to be a better man for my family and for my kids, and just to be a better guy, not just so me to lose weight is going to save this, fix this marriage, or me fixing myself externally is going to fix this marriage. It needs to come from within.
So
Um,
that's important. And I want to highlight that, because I think a lot of guys, especially in our culture and our society, it's very like physical. It's very aesthetic, right? It's like, so many men now feel the pressure to have 6-pack abs, or to have a Ripley chest, or to look a certain way. And same with women. I mean, it's 10 times worse with women, because you've got pornographic images everywhere. You've got scantily clad Cardi B's everywhere, and so you're like, oh, I've got to have big boobs. So women deal with that. Men also deal with it. And men deal with it differently, because I think we internalize a lot of, we don't talk about it. We're not like, hey man, look at me, like I've whatever. Right. But we still deal with it. And I think you said something important, and this is kind of my journey right now, which is that like lifelong change, right? Like all the guys that are in our Facebook group, the guys that are in a podcast that are experiencing the shit they're experiencing, the storm they're experiencing right now, many of them are not thinking about anything lifelong. They're thinking about in the moment, right now, right here. So how does a guy then go from I'm scared, so I'm losing weight and I'm doing all this stuff, or I'm scared, I got paralysis and now I'm just eating all the time? How does he go from that to like clearly living an identity-based lifestyle that is about health without it being to the extremes?
Okay. Let me tell you what I do with the guys I coach. I'll give
Yeah.
you like a little plan.
Okay.
And you know, it's really three steps that I take guys through. And and it works time and time again, more so like a framework that guys can use.
Okay.
The first step is knowing point A and point B. So when I say point A, it's two parts to that. Point A is knowing where you're at, just the basics like your measurements, stuff like that. You got to be crystal clear on where you're at. So how much do you weigh? What's your waist measurement? Take inventory of like how you eating, the basics.
Okay.
But also like where you at mentally. Are you ready to change? Or are you dealing with this emotional eating, these cravings? Are you really to be committed? The commitment, you don't need to know the whole plan to make that commitment, but
Mhm.
you need to, that's the first thing. Am I ready to make this commitment? And just making that commitment, making that decision. That's all, that's what
Yeah.
it takes, right? Point B is just knowing the destination, right? Knowing the goal and being clear on what the goal is. A lot of guys say, okay, I want to be healthy. Perfect. I want to look better in my clothes. Good. But let's see if we can define that goal. Okay. So everybody knows that. I need to know how much I want to weigh and what size clothes I want to wear, things like that. And often you'll hear, okay, what you really need to know is what your why is. Okay, you hear that. I think that's important too. Like why? Okay, but everybody knows why. You know why you want to lose weight. I want to lose weight because I want to look better, I want to feel better, I want to do it for my kids, I want to be an example. Okay, you need to take that a step further and think about the impact that's going to happen outside of just fitness, outside of just your health. What impact is that going to have on your kid's life? Think further out. Like, what are they going to think when they see your dad went from 300 pounds and lost his weight, got down to 180 pounds, and what he went through, the struggle he went through to do that, and how he failed a couple times doing it, but he kept fighting for it. What impact is it going to have on them? What impact is that going to have on your business? To be a leader inside of your business or wherever, and people that you leading from the front. You led yourself, now you leading them. And then you got to think about the cost. Like, what's the cost of me not making this change? What's the cost? Like, what's going to happen if I'm, 80 years old and I look back over my life and I didn't make that change? Like, what would I pay to get back to that point? What's the cost of me of inaction? Right? That's the A and B.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It totally makes sense. So what it sounds like, I mean, honestly, that is the same process we take guys through who want to join our VIP program, which is where are you at now? And are you ready to make changes? Like, are you ready to do the work? Because we won't accept you into the program unless you say, I'm ready to do the work. Otherwise, you're just tiptoeing around. And it sounds like you're saying the same thing where it's like mentally is just as important as anything for the work you do on fitness and nutrition, and guys getting to a place of feeling better mentally. They have to commit to transformation, and they're not just like dabbling, but going, okay, am I ready to make a lifestyle change, or am I ready to, I don't know what you want to call it, I call it lifestyle change, but like, am I ready to live a new identity? And I look at everything like that. I call them identity based goals. The habit, I forgot the name of the book, but great book on it. It talks about this idea of identity based goals. And so for me, it's not about do I weigh 190 or 290. It's about what is the identity that I've projected into my mind and that I want to live like. So I want to live like I'm able to, deadlift, or I'm able to make certain movements or do a certain thing or wear a certain kind of clothes, or it becomes this whole identity for me. What I think what I think would be great is because I think most guys would just agree with you on all of this, right? Like this is the framework, point A to point B. I got to understand where I'm at, understand where I'm going. Plotting out the path ahead. Dealing with the obstacles and traffic jam. Like those are the things that you've been talking about. But it's like, are there some practical things that a guy can like even take today and go, what are some things I need to do? I mean, you talked about some like, taking an inventory of my food, but like, what else? What are some practical, maybe 2 or 3 practical things that a guy can listen to this on the podcast or in the Facebook group and go, oh, okay, I'm going to try that. I'm going to do that today.
Definitely. So, we talked about like the A to B. That's the first step. So second step is like the plan, the path,
Yeah.
right? That's what we're talking about. The fitness, the exercise, the eating, the nutrition, things like that. So the way I approach nutrition is it's like I'm agnostic when we come to nutrition. I don't follow any like one method of thought. It's all about getting clients results or men results. So some approaches that you can use as far as like nutrition, because that's going to be the biggest thing when we talk about,
Yeah.
actually losing weight or, feeling better, getting health
Yep.
inside your body, is nutrition. The first thing is just eating slower.
Hmm.
Simple thing, eating slower. Eating slower gives your brain enough time to recognize that you're full.
Yeah.
So aim for like 20 minutes. Another thing, 80% full. So eating to 80% full. So now you know how to eat slower. Eating 80% full is just before you get full, just before you get to that point, you're backing off. So
Yeah.
you might not take that last bite, but you won't know that you're getting full unless you know how to eat slower.
So it's really mindfulness techniques
Definitely.
where you're being more aware of what you're doing, which also solves the emotional issue, right? Because if you are an emotional eater, you're just chowing down, you're just eating because you're feeling something, but then you get stuffed and you feel gross and you feel lethargic and all of that. But what you're saying is if we just slow down and take 20 minutes to actually eat a meal and like acknowledge like being present with the food that we're actually taking in, you're saying that's going to help us also not overeat because we're looking at the 80% thing. And again, if you're still mindful, it's like, okay, I'm 80% full. I mean, basically you don't need to overeat if you know that. And then 10 minutes, 3 hours later, you're not snacking because you're like, I'm still about 75% full. I don't really need anything to eat right now until my next meal or whatever. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, definitely. And then on top of that, it's like a lot of times we don't even pay attention to the food that we eat and like the taste of it. Like
Mm.
I'm just craving, I might just be craving sugar and things like that. And I'm not even paying attention to like these M&Ms, like they taste kind of funny that I'm eating them slower. Like it's not, is this the healthiest thing for me right now?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or I'm eating this burger and it's good, but now I'm like, I'm eating slower. And it kind of makes me feel a little sick to my stomach while I'm eating it because this might not be what I need right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
start getting those things too. So it helps a lot with that.
Oh, that's
The other
awesome.
thing is, the last thing is like super, super simple. Like everybody knows this already. It's just fruits and veggies, right? Like getting fruits and getting veggies with every meal. Like it doesn't have to be those leafy green vegetables or anything like that, but just getting veggies with every meal. And it's super simple. And I like to incorporate shakes a lot,
Hmm.
the guys I coach. So this is something the guys can do right away. Take a handful of mixed berries, frozen stuff, handful of spinach, uh, about 18 to 12 ounces of water, and find a good protein shake or good protein mix that you like the flavor of.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, something that you like the flavor of. Put in there, and then now you got a serving of veggies, serving of fruit, serving of protein, and that'll hold you for some hours.
Yeah.
It's healthy and it's
Yeah.
easy. It's simple. So
I like that. So we talked about mindfulness on the slowing down, taking 20 minutes to eat a meal. We talked about being aware of what we're actually eating and to the point where we're only 80% full versus 100% full. And then you talked about a practical thing of taking some, berries, and I can't remember the other thing. Oh,
Mixed berries,
mixed
like
berries,
spinach or like kale, something green,
spinach, kale. Oh, kale. I was gonna say
handful.
kale. I could do
Spinach.
spinach.
Yeah.
Right. Put those in a shake and blend it up. Love that. So that's all on the nutrition side. Is there one movement that you would recommend from a physical standpoint to every guy? Like
One
what would be
movement,
your go-to one movement that you would recommend?
but I can't do that. I can't give you one movement. Uh, like I like all different types of modalities when it comes to fitness. So
Yeah.
you really do need all components. Like you want some strength component that's going to help you build muscle or maintain the muscle. You want to maintain it especially when you're dropping weight.
Yeah.
You're gonna need some type of cardiovascular component, something like that. You really actually like kind of pushing yourself. So hit is good for that. Um, I like the intervals with hit, and then also you need
What's
some
hit?
type of
Some guys
component
don't know what
where
hit
it's
is.
like a high intensity interval training.
Okay.
So kind of like when you might example would be like I like to do 30-60s. So it's like you run for 30 seconds, walk for 60 seconds, run for 30 seconds, walk. That's an example. Um, and then the last one, you need something like a recovery component where it's not active recovery component. So it could be just walking, was getting your blood flowing. You just, out and about getting, vitamin C and all that. Just something that actively recovers your body, but you're still kind of doing something that's active. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, but if it's my favorite exercise, I just put it like that, are burpees, like military style, prison style burpees. If you can do those anywhere you go, you getting some strength component in there. You getting some
Is that the up
cardiovascular stuff
down?
in there. Hmm?
What is that, the move where you're like up and then you go down and you do like a push up or something?
Yeah. So you start off. It's so many variations. The one I like the most is called the Navy SEAL. So you start from standing position. That's the first count. You squat down, put your hands on the ground. I had to send you a video. All right. You kick your legs out. All right. Come down and put your chest on the ground as far as like a push up. When you push up, you bring one knee up towards your elbow.
Okay.
Go back down, and then you pull the other knee up. Go
Okay.
back down, and then you stand up. So it's like you're doing 3 push-ups for every rep.
Got it.
So yeah.
Wow. So you're working cardio, you're working big muscle groups. You're kind of getting the gamut there when you
Oh
do that.
yeah.
It sounds like that's awesome.
But the burpee in general is like, a lot of people would put it like top rated body weight
Yeah.
exercise. So
Yeah. So awesome. I got it out of him. Burpees is his top movement that he likes to go. That's his go-to. So it's a great move. So Thomas, man, dude, I appreciate so much your time today, sharing with us. Cause I mean, like, some of you guys might be listening to this and you're like, what, fuck health, fitness or whatever. But like, this is your life. I mean, like, you literally, if you're gaining weight too fast, you can have a heart attack, you can have a stroke, you can have all kinds of shit happen to you, and you're not going to be there for your kids. If you're losing weight too fast, you can become anemic, you can get all kinds of issues around your body, around your mind, right? You get mind fog, all kinds of stuff when you're not getting proper nutrition in your body. So putting proper nutrition, doing burpees, working out, getting fit is really going to help you through this divorce more than almost anything. I mean, like, obviously we have a program, we help you emotionally and mentally, but something like what Thomas offers is more about the mind and the body coming together to be strong, to really be empowered physically, right? We talk a lot about empowerment from an emotional standpoint, but what Thomas is bringing to the table is empowerment from a physical standpoint. So, man, I appreciate so much having you on today. How can guys get a hold of you if they want to talk with you about your program, what you do?
yeah, man. Best way is daddydeadlifts.com. That's my website. And then you can look for me on Facebook. Find my Facebook page, Daddy Deadlifts, and you can shoot me a message there.
Okay.
Just real quick, man. When you talk about like men coming out of divorce, coming out of these hard situations, and when you focus on like you And I just wanted to bring this up because a guy made this post in the group the other day. I can't remember his name, but he talked about how he felt like he couldn't do anything, like he just down in the dumps. And he said, okay, I just need to do something. So I'm gonna get up and take a shower. And his post hit me. He said, I'm gonna get up and take a shower. He took a shower. He said, okay, I'm gonna clean up. And he just started building momentum throughout the day.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing when it comes, like, whenever you're trying to do something different or, get over that hump and get that momentum going. It's just health and fitness is an easy way to get that momentum going. Yeah. Sometimes you can't work on the mental right away. Sometimes you can't. You might have to just, okay, I'm gonna do 5 burpees today. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do something, take action, because that action, then you can steer after you take action.
Yeah.
You can't steer a parked car. That's it, man. That's all. Just have to throw that in
there.
Yeah,
there's no shame in that, is what you're saying. There's no shame in, you can't do. I remember when I went back to the gym, it was like there was so many movements I could not do. But then 3, 4, or 5 months later, it's like, man, I'm doing stuff. My trainer's like, dang, I remember when you first came in and you couldn't do that move. You couldn't squat all the way down, or do a lunge with your knee hitting the ground. Like, you just couldn't do it. And so it is that step by step by step by step. Don't be ashamed. Talk to a guy like Thomas, reach out to him, like, get into something that's going to get you physically moving and eating well. 80 or 90% of it's food, but there's still that part that's physical you got to do too. So both of them are just as important, and you got to do both. So, man, I appreciate you coming on. Guys, look up ThomasDaddyDeadlifts.com. If you're in our free Facebook group, he's also a member of our free Facebook group, Thomas Miller II. You can find him in there. I believe he's posing with his chiseled arms up in the air or something like that, as his photo. So, but yeah, man, thank you so much. DaddyDeadlifts.com. And then, we appreciate having you on. Thank you so much.
Man, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for reaching out, bro.
You're welcome.
Have a good one, man.
Thanks. Hey, if what you heard today really resonated with you and you want to connect with me, then here's what I want you to do. Pull out your phone right now and go to empoweredman.co/group. That's empoweredman.co, not com.co/group. So you can join our free Facebook group and connect with me there. We also have a ton of free content and trainings in that group to help you when you join. So until then, this is Mark signing off on Empowered AF.